I'm bored. Let's watch grown men make excuses for their bad behavior on the internet in exchange for money and clout. All right, so this is an Eric July video. We've had a lot of Eric July stuff to talk about this week, where he's making excuses for the things that he does and all the other people in the fandom menace do. The real tea is that this video serves two purposes. It's him doing damage control for what he said on Twitter last week. We covered that video. This is damage control for that, but it's also propaganda for the kind of content that him and his friends make on YouTube. His friends still make it, and his friends work with him and work for him on his company. So he's trying to make excuses for that because people are calling him out for talking about conflict marketing, but still working with and employing people that do conflict marketing. Let's watch the video. The title of this video is, "It was always about fun." Was it? What, was it always about fun with you guys? I don't think that's true. I think that's something you tell yourselves and you tell your fans. It might even be a coping mechanism for some of the people in your circle.
This is what it always was about, fun. You'd be surprised how many people seem to miss that. Or worse, they pretend like that was never the point. But
well, I mean, the thing about it is when people are having fun, you guys do your best to like diminish people and pull down people, tear down people that are enjoying it, calling them fake fans, making them feel like they're not part of the cool kids club, whatever that might be. You guys do a really good job of gatekeeping people that are having fun with anything. And I'm not saying that everything has to be a 10 out of 10, but people can have fun with something and it just be an okay thing. Like it's just an okay movie. It's just an okay video game. It's just an okay TV show. And I can still have fun with it. But the bar that you guys have set makes it impossible to have fun. Because anytime something fun is even introduced, which by the way, fun is subjective, but anytime something fun is introduced to try and stir up some sort of like positive fan reaction, you guys throw cold water on it. That's on you. That's on your community.
let's be real here. Whether it was comic books, movies, video games, or cartoons for that matter, this stuff was supposed to bring people joy. It wasn't supposed to be a lecture. It was supposed to be fun. Now,
I grew up in the 80s. Remember knowing is half the battle? One of the most iconic phrases that people talk about when they talk about G.I. Joe? Like if you grew up watching G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle. Do you remember all the PSAs at the end of He-Man and She-Ra and stuff like that? Those were all there because there was a push to lecture children on being better people in the 80s. So literally you had fun, but the fun also led to some sort of like social or educational thing at the end of that. You act like all of a sudden that this concept of putting things in media to make people feel better about themselves or to make them better people is somehow a brand new concept that never existed before in any of the stuff that we had growing up. And that is just not true. Let's continue.
When people started calling this stuff out and the injection of ideology and entertainment, there was this coordinated effort to make them look like they...
I love that you're using the Star Wars stands up against racism situation. That's really funny to me. This is one of the most abused internet interactions that I can remember in modern times. When Star Wars called out racism, they were calling out people who are racist. They weren't calling out all the fans as being racist. You guys love to frame it this way. This is like propaganda stuff. Again, this is like rewriting reality. I remember Dane, I think it was Dane on one of his streams, had some people on, I can't remember who they are, but he had some people on, and they didn't even know what was said because you guys, and when I say you guys, I mean everyone in the Fandom Menace and Fandom Menace adjacent communities, had talked about this tweet, this messaging from Star Wars about not being racist. You talk about it in a way that made people believe that Star Wars actually called all of their fans racist. And that's not what they did. So if you have an issue with a company supporting their workers who are receiving racist messaging, racist death threats, things like that, if you have an issue with that, you are just a shit person.
Were the problem. That they were the ones making fandoms toxic. That they were just miserable people who couldn't adapt. That's a lie. They didn't start the fire, they reacted to it. Because if you zoom out and actually look at what happened.
I love the stock footage stuff. This is funny. You went to a lot of trouble to do this because of all the backlash you were getting, specific to Eric. You're doing this because a lot of people called you out on supporting conflict marketing when you said it wasn't good. And I made the video where I was like, yeah, this is him essentially through context clues calling everyone around him unprofessional. So this is sort of like him, bending the knee or kissing ass of all these guys. That's what he's doing here. That's what this video is.
What really happened, the order of...
See, they never said the fans are racist. They never said that. Let me read to you what they actually tweeted out. This was the original tweet. We are proud to welcome Moses Ingram to the Star Wars family and excited for Reva's story to unfold. If anyone intends to make her feel in any way unwelcome, we have one thing to say: we resist. Because she was receiving negative messages. They're publicly available. This has already been shown. She talked about it. Screenshots have been shared. We know this happened. And even if it was only a few of them, the point is she shouldn't be receiving racist comments at all. At all, period. Their response is, there are more than 20 million sentient species in the Star Wars galaxy. Don't choose to be a racist. Nowhere in either one of those tweets were they calling all fans racist. This is a misrepresentation, and you guys have been grifting off of a lie for years. People in the comments, when you ask me why I call them grifters, this is why. This tweet, this comment here from them doesn't say that all fans are racist. But you see how Eric is framing it. And this is the way all the Fandom Menace guys framed it. They have to create this narrative because they need something. So instead of looking at what's actually being said and addressing the fact that she was receiving racist comments and racist messages and threats, instead of just going, yeah, this was happening, they have to pretend like it wasn't happening, and Star Wars just randomly, out of nowhere, called fans racist. This is what grifting is. Let's continue.
Events is very clear. You had the publishers, studios, and the activists that brought their politics into...
All right, let's look through these headlines here.
What really happened, the order of events is very clear. You had
how DC's finest gave Robin a coming out story. Tim Drake is finding himself and going on a date with a boy. Okay, so a story, like they use these stories because it's so few of them to complain about that they have to like cherry pick the ones to get mad about, right? They have to cherry pick it. There's never, I don't think to this day that I can remember, there hasn't been a story about a gay character, bi character, trans character that has come out in the last few years that these guys have been okay with. They've been mad about all of them because they've turned it into a narrative. It's not simply like one person deciding to write a story about a queer character. It's like anytime a queer character is present in something, they have an issue with it. Full stop. Every single time.
Publishers, studio.
Is the new Captain America movie an allegory for Trump? Considering that the movie was written before Trump was actually elected into office, I would say no. But the narrative continues. What's the next one here?
And the activists.
Anna Sarkeesian critiques gaming's flawed approach to diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is the Gamergate stuff. This is a rabbit hole. We could talk about this for hours. But this started back in 2012. Like her journey started back in 2012 when she started crowdfunding. I think it was a Kickstarter about the women in gaming tropes. I think it was tropes versus women in gaming, if I remember correctly. That started in 2012. And she became wrapped up in the Gamergate stuff. But I don't want to get too far off topic. Let's continue.
That brought their politics into the mix first.
The campaign against Avowed reveals the bigotry that fuels the anti-woke. This is from, this was a recent one. I kind of remember this one. There's been so many of them, it's hard to remember because it's just anytime there's something diverse in anything, you guys lose your fucking minds about it. You're the biggest group of crybabies I've ever met. That's real talk. All tea. You guys are full of the biggest crybabies on the internet. Millions of subscribers to watch you guys cry about stuff. Oh no, there's a gay person in my game. What am I going to do? Oh no, there's a woman as the main character. Now I have to look at her ass all day from third person. Oh no, a random background character in a movie is kissing someone of the same gender. Whatever will I do? The world is ending. You guys are the biggest groups of crybabies on the internet. You really are. I don't know what's worse. The people who are not marginalized that are running the racket on this, or all the people who are in the marginalized communities aligning themselves with them only to go against the betterment of their own communities. I don't know which one is worse. They're both kind of despicable, but I'm not sure which one is worse.
And they led with it, not the fans. The fans just responded. There was no balance. And these weren't just some random trolls or grifters trying to milk outrage. We're talking about the super fans, people who spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on books, merchandise, collect.
What if I told you that that doesn't mean anything? What if I told you I am someone that has spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on fandom stuff, and I disagree with what these guys are saying? I actually like a lot of the stuff that's coming out. What if I told you that is the way it is? That there's lots of fans that spend thousands of dollars that are not pieces of shit, that are not getting on the internet, stoking outrage to garner more money from people so they can complain about everything, whether it's good or bad, simply because that's the narrative they're painting. You act like only one, like these are true fans because they've spent a ton of money. What if I told you that the amount of money you spend on something does not decide how true of a fan you are? What if I told you that? You know how many people come into my shows that don't have a lot of money, but know every single thing about the fandoms they love, but they can't afford all the toys and merch because it's so expensive? Why are those people less important than the ones that get online and scream outrage because they bought a Stormtrooper helmet or a Lego set? How is that the metric? Is that the bar? You're only allowed to be a fan in the fandom with a voice if you spend a ton of money. Is that what we're insinuating here? Because being a grifter can still exist from a true fan. You can be a fan of something and still grift off of it. There's nothing saying you can't. Star Wars Theory is a really good example. Star Wars Theory is a real fan. Star Wars Theory has also been leaning into the grift. See how that works? See how that happens? This idea that only true fans are the ones complaining is just ridiculous.
Grifters trying to milk outrage. We're talking about the super fans, people who spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on books, merchandise.
This is so demeaning to actual fans of this stuff.
People who lived and breathed this stuff. They saw the shift. They felt it. And when they saw their beloved franchises being turned into these unrecognizable, agenda-driven messes.
You know, cherry picking is the word of the day. Cherry picking. That is essentially I don't want to say the entire foundation, but a big chunk of the foundation of the house that these fucks have built is like this cherry picking thing where you just pick out random things and you just harp on those over and over and over again. You remember the beginning of this video, he said, let's zoom out. Let's zoom out until there's no point in zooming out. And then you have to zoom in and you start cherry picking. This one scene in this movie I don't like, therefore the whole movie sucks. But if you zoom out and you do that to create your narrative, you're saying, well, there's a lot of fans that don't like this. We're zooming out on this one, we're zooming in on this one. Whichever one feeds the fucking machine, whichever one feeds the narrative that they have at that moment. That's how they got you. That's how they do it over here.
Well, they said something. That's not toxicity, that's just heartbreak.
Toxicity and heartbreak can exist in the same, like, it's not this either or shit. It's not this either or shit, Eric. It's not about like, oh, you can't be toxic because you're heartbroken, or you can't be a true fan and also be a grifter. What is this? Like, is there an issue with your brain? Is there an issue with the brain of you and the people that consume this content where you think that only one thing can exist at a time? Is that the way this works? Like, true fans can't be grifters. Toxic people can't be people that had their heart broken. Like these things can exist at the same time. Matter of fact, I would say toxicity a lot of times comes out of passion. The way you feel about something leads to toxicity. It's what you do with that. It's how you manage that outside of your bubble, outside of a vacuum that matters. If you want to be toxic in your own fucking house, be toxic in your own house. But when you drag that shit out to other people and you infect other people, it's like an infection. You're infecting other people with this nonsense, with this brain rot, with this outrage. When you're doing that, you bear responsibility for that toxicity. It is no longer on you. It is on the other people around you that have been infected. Because you would have us believe that all of this happened organically. If it happened organically, why did it take years of you guys making this kind of content for anybody to listen? If it's organic. If it's organic, it wouldn't require you guys to tell people what to dislike.
And sure, yeah, some folks maybe jumped in just to grift. That always happens.
So who are they? Who are the folks that jumped into grift? Point them out. If it's not the biggest people on your platform, then they're doing it wrong, Eric. If the biggest people on your platform are not the grifters, then the grifters are doing it wrong. You do it to make money. So the people at the top of the tree, the people at the top of the pyramid, the top of the mountain, however you want to look at it, top of the hill, the people at the top are the ones that are doing it for money because they are the ones making the money from it. How would other grifters... So the guy making $5 is the grifter, but the guy making $5,000 isn't? Come on, give me a break, man. You can't be this fucking stupid.
Any sort of movement, but the vast majority of people, they weren't trying to build their careers off of this stuff.
How do you know?
They weren't trying to go viral. They were
How do
just
you know?
regular folks looking for other.
That's false, because Nerdrotic has said on Twitter that he says Miles Morales is Miles Morales specifically to go viral and make money off of it. He has said this himself. He's talked about this. I've covered this. He has said that nothing is better than that kind of engagement on Twitter. Insinuating that he doesn't necessarily agree with it, but he knows that it's engagement bait, it will go viral and he'll make money off of it. Bro, like, you got to come with more than this. You got to come with more than this.
Who noticed the same thing. That's also why many content creators blew up during that time. It wasn't
No, they blew up during that time because there was nothing happening during COVID. God, you guys try to rewrite fucking history, don't you? COVID was a dead period of time for entertainment, and so people were looking for things to watch, things to engage with. That is when your community blew up. That is when that happened. People were upset that they weren't getting the things they love, and they turned that trauma into whatever it is now, and then you guys ran with it. And to act like these guys aren't making careers off of this, like they were never trying to make careers off, they absolutely were. They absolutely were. Your entire comic book career is built on the foundation of the money that you made as a YouTube commentator. Your entire fucking business that you have right now. It's either that or you had investors that nobody knows about. Which is it? Did you do this on your own or did investors invest into your business? How did you come up with the capital for your business? You did it off of YouTube because you made a career off of what you're doing. You might want to rewrite history, but we're not doing that every year.
Because they were feeding rage. It's because they were finally saying what a lot of people were already thinking. They became a voice for the unheard, and people flocked to them. Not because, well, they needed someone to be mad for them. It's because they needed to know that they weren't alone. Now, the rise of creators in this space wasn't the cause, it was the side effect. And honestly, most people who feel the same way.
The side effect of COVID? Of people not having shit to do at home? You guys blew up in an era when movies and TV shows were not coming out. We barely had anything. For the 2 years that you guys blew up, that your channels blew up, it was almost a ghost town for movies. And we had very little TV shows coming out. What are you talking about?
Aren't even creators at all. They're just tired of being talked down to, tired of seeing something that they love get turned into.
So is your business anti-woke or not?
Instead of storytelling.
Is your business anti-woke or not? This sounds like conflict marketing, Eric. This sounds like conflict marketing. It sounds like you are selling your comic books in opposition to another company's success. You are selling your brand as anti-woke here. That's what you're doing, because you're not a YouTuber apparently. That's what you said. So you're not a YouTuber, so you're a comic book guy. And you're making a quick video here to stick up for the fandom menace, to justify all their toxic anti-woke behavior, and representing Ripaverse in your video. You're showing clips of you selling your comic books and your merch. So you literally made a video saying you're not into conflict marketing, and then you make a video doing conflict marketing.
What fans really want isn't complicated. They want to go back to the days when we were arguing over who would win in a fight, Goku or Superman.
And what's stopping you from doing that now? I talk about it on my streams. Matter of fact, we just talked about it last night. So there's nothing stopping you from doing this now other than being old, angry men that are justifying your bad behavior with a lot of misrepresentation and lies.
Whether or not the new movie broke canon, whether or not that retcon actually made any sense. You can still do that, but it was all in fun.
You can still do that.
Passion, but for the love of the Lord. Nobody
still do
wanted
it.
this to turn into this tribal sort of warfare. They just wanted to enjoy the ride.
Right, because I don't remember when diverse characters were introduced in movies where they were telling you guys you couldn't come out and enjoy it. You're still invited to partake in all this stuff. You guys have chosen to be angry and bitter and upset about it. That's your choice.
That's actually a big part of why I stopped just really talking about it to the degree that I was before, and I started my own thing. That's where the Rippaverse came from. It wasn't about fighting back with just more outrage. It was about offering an alternative, something built on fun, escapism.
Conflict marketing. This is literally 2 or 3 days after your conflict marketing video, you're doing conflict marketing. I don't need to say any more. You guys get it. You guys get it, right? You see what's happening here. Hypocrites, double standards, liars, grifters. That is all this community is. And the Rippaverse fans will be like, oh, that's not what he's doing. Literally, he is offering his business as an alternative to everything else in this video. He's showing clips of him at cons selling his merch. You can't justify your bad behavior. All of you guys are making money off of everything that you say you're not. Outrage, anger, all of these things. You're not taking passion that people have for Spider-Man and recreating it in Isom. That's not what's happening, man. You're saying, come buy my comic books because they're not woke. That's what you're saying in this video.